on Facebook, I'll let you know. And then we do start the show with a 30-second countdown. Okay, so just give me a couple minutes. I can just see this. Everybody that's tuning in, just waiting for it to go live. I don't see it yet. Hold on. 1 second. Minutes. All right, perfect. So we are live on Facebook. So I'm going to just share it as well on my end. Bill, you're more than welcome to go to the Facebook page, The Dani Perro Show. You can share it on your end as well. And I'm going to start a 30-second countdown, okay? So I'll come back and introduce the show and yourself.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Today is Tuesday, March 26, 2024. Welcome to the Dani Perro Show. Tonight, we are in the home studio. I am so excited to welcome my guest, Bill Abernathy. I really need to appreciate the time and the dedication that you had given us.
No, I need the order number for the pet food real quick. Pet food order number.
Danielle.
No, they want the number.
I'm doing a show.
I know, but they need the number. Hold on, Bill. This is.
I'm so sorry.
I'm on the phone.
Give me 1 second. Oh my God! Hold on.
They just need the order number, Bill. I'm so sorry.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
I'm here.
This is
right there.
This is life, right? This is what happens.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry about that. I will get right back to you in 1 second. This is.
Yeah, I think
this is the reason why we start the show at 6:30. Guys, everybody that's tuning in, I'm so sorry. Just give me 1 second. I will start the show shortly.
That's all you need?
I'm just waiting on my.
Okay, bye.
Everything good?
Yeah, sorry.
All right. All right. So we're going to get back. So we're so excited to have Bill here with us tonight. Now, Bill, we know you as being a wonderful musician living in Missouri. And we're so curious and, excited to find out more about you today. So I do have to appreciate your time and dedication.
Well, thank you for having me. And I'm excited to talk to y'all. This should be a good time.
It definitely will be. So I want to get started a little bit for the show because every time I start a show, I like to get to know my guests behind bars versus what your biography is. Because I love talking to you to get to know who you are. So why don't we talk a little bit about in the beginning for yourself? When you kind of first got interested in music, how old were you?
6.
Okay.
6.
And
it was a long time ago. That was about 60 years ago. So I wouldn't trust my memory to be exactly around 6, but somewhere in that ballpark is the first time that I tried to sing a song and play a guitar. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So being younger, getting an idea of kind of like wanting to play guitar or be a singer at that age, what were you trying to pursue much? Were you looking into musical instruments? Were you looking more into vocal?
Yeah, I had a brother who was a hippie, and literally, and he had a bunch of friends, right, that played music. Now he was 9 years older than me, so he's more of a child of the 60s as opposed to, I call myself a child of the 70s. But he used to have, jam sessions, at the house, and all his older friends would come over and they'd sit around and play guitars and sing and do all that. And literally, I would sneak out of my bedroom at night and go down and listen to them play. And after a while, they kind of caught on to me. And so they let me come in and listen to them, taught me a few things, and showed me a few little tricks here and there on the guitar. So that's really where it all kind of got started for me.
So you just getting an idea of sneaking downstairs and listening to the music. Now, I know you said that they had, he's a hippie. So the music that they kind of have played, was it similar to him being that as well? Was it hippie music?
Not sure. They were into the folk music of the 60s, right? Okay. So, the Dylan and Peter, Paul and Mary and those guys, that was kind of their thing, right? So.
Okay. So then tell me about when you first went downstairs and you got an opportunity to listen to them, right? were you excited to hear what they were playing? Were you excited and you wanted to be a part of it before you had gotten a chance to learn anything from your brother? Like you were
Well,
thinking in the back end that this was something maybe you might want to do, or is it just for fun for this time?
well, to be honest with you, I'd listened to them, and the thing that fascinated me more than the guitar playing and all that were the songs themselves, right? What the songs had to say. Back in those days, people didn't write the so much of the baby, 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 I love you, love you, love you songs we get
Oh
today.
my
Or
God, there's great love songs out there today, but there's
yeah,
nothing that is an old retro oldie, I guess you could say, where it means more than it being on the radio because we all remember it and we know it from a younger age versus like it just came out, last month and it's trying to trend on the topic or something like that on the billboard.
right, right. And so they
You're
played
100%
more. They played more music that maybe had a little bit more social impact, had a bit more politics to it,
yeah,
and I always found that interesting. And they also played songs of the great storytellers in the
very
world of music, and I loved listening to the lyrics and understanding the stories, and then trying to figure out how to take those stories and turn them into music. So that part fascinated me as much or more than anything else, I think.
So when he taught you some stuff that you got a chance to learn, was it anything like on guitar? Was it anything vocally? Like what did your brother teach you? I know this is still a young age, which I'm working my way up to it, but I want to kind of get an idea as for you understanding and liking music at this age, what you think you wanted to do next.
Yeah, so he played, but he was not very good, to be honest with you. He loved it. Yeah, he loved it. But
You're
he
an
had,
honest musician, brother.
yeah, yeah. Well, it is what it is. But he had some friends. One guy in particular was actually working on his PhD in guitar. Who even knew that was a thing? But this guy was really, really good player and excellent guy and really patient guy. And so he would spend a little time with me to show me a few tricks and that kind of thing. And so that's really where I kind of picked up guitar. I took piano lessons and stuff when I was a kid. And so I could play that a little bit, but the guitar is really where as you can see behind me, that's real. That's where I live. So the guitar is,
A wall of guitars behind you. I'm going to ask you this later in the show.
yeah, that's most of them. But yeah, the guitar is where I really kind of found my thing. I really like playing the guitar, and so that's where I landed.
And that was something that you like doing. So then for guitar, is it something that you feel like you were growing up playing? Did you get taught properly as well? Did you get like lessons?
Oh yeah. So I took lessons and then I studied some guitar at the Kansas City Conservatory of Music, and worked with a bunch of guys that were far better players than I. But they taught me things. They taught me things along the way, and as I say, I play just about well enough to impress the people that don't know. But if there are real musicians in the audience, they kind of go, hey, yeah, well, that's not so much, right? But yeah, it sounds like I know what I'm doing. So I guess that's all it is. All you have to do today is create the illusion, right? So
That's very true. I guess it also depends on the type of music and the lyrics part of the song for the illusion, because you're right. Anybody nowadays can just go on stage and pretend like they're playing. I mean, I'm not saying like pretend, but like, look like they're doing a full blown chord when it's just like maybe like an E minor or something like smaller, and it's not as extravagant as it's supposed to be, but it looks like it's like phenomenal, mind blowing to like everyone in the audience, So that's pretty nice that you can give that opportunity too.
yeah, well, if there's a couple of musicians out now. I think they're in the country music world that wear these shirts that say 3 chords and a bunch of truth. Right? When you come to hear me play or when you listen to some of my music, there's a few more than 3 chords. Just saying. So it's a little bit more complex than most. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you can definitely hear a lot more mentality in your music that'll, versus what's on the radio as well. But it's also how you want to explain yourself as a musician. I mean, who are some of the inspirations that got you into being a country musician?
Well, you call me a country musician. I don't know that I'm necessarily a country musician. So I don't really like being put in a box, right? So, for example, I've won awards for Best Rock Album of the Year. I've won awards for Americana. They're currently calling me folk rock, whatever that is. So,
Okay.
yeah. So, but I just think that I'm not a big fan of being put in a box. So, country music today is not what country music used to be, and things evolve. So it's really hard to keep up with it, to figure out what box you put in. But on the More album, I actually play 7 different genres, and I did it on purpose just to mess with the guys on radio. So yeah.
Okay. Well, what I want to say about that though is when you don't want to put yourself in a box, right, for your genre. But explain to me exactly what you want your genre to be versus like Americana, then you said pop, a little bit of reggae, country. What would you consider your genre to be? If you had a name for it, what would you like to name it?
Old hippie music. Old hippie music.
You know what?
That's kind
I
of
have to say, I really do like that because you can make it anything you want it to be, right?
exactly. Exactly.
That makes it original. That makes it yours. Nobody can steal it from you. I mean, they can steal the name old hippie music, 'cause I'm sure many people, use that name. But if you have your certain authentication on it, they can't take it away from you.
Yeah. I just think that my thing is really lyric based music, right? So, to me, the lyrics are important, and telling the story and the information behind the song is what's important, and then the music comes later to kind of match whatever the story is. So, if the story lends itself to be a rock and roll song, then I write rock and roll music. If it's a folk song, I'll write folk music, and or Americana, which nobody knows what is. I will try to eat. Well, nobody really does know what Americana is. So,
It's
but
a
I'll try to
it's
stay
not
in those
Afro.
worlds.
Yeah, exactly. But
Yeah.
do you also think it's the way that you play your guitar, like the way you want to make it into that song? Because I'm sure you could just wake up and be like, I want to write a folk song today, and then just go right from that. But is it like easier for you for lyrics? Is it easier for you for the musical part, like the chords? Does that come quicker when
It
you want to write?
depends. So, yeah, no, when I write, I always write lyrics first. Always, always,
Okay.
always. And
Why?
it's to me, it's like a story, right? If you have something to say, which hopefully you do, if you're going to write a song, if you have something to say, then you need to figure out how to say it, right? And so I focus really a lot. 80% of my time probably with songwriting is focused on lyrics and telling the story and making it appropriate, and so that the information and the ideas that I'm trying to share with people are clear in the lyric itself. And then the music itself kind of tells me the song, the lyrics kind of tell me what the music should be. If it should be like a folky kind of song, or it should be a rock and roll song, or a blues song, or
Okay,
whatever.
so you get a
But
feel with it with the lyrics. Okay.
yeah, to me, the lyrics are the most important part.
So why don't you explain to me about similar, I want to say like when you're creating a hook for your song? Because a lot of musicians always try to make sure the hook is the most catchiest, gets stuck in our heads.
Uh-huh.
When you had become a musician and you got an idea of that for songwriting, did that seem, I don't want to say did it seem stressful, but did that seem like something where it was hard to go with at first?
No.
Or is it easy for you to write a hook?
Yeah, it depends on how you want to classify a hook. But at the end of the day, the hook's really the idea of the song. Like, for example, I have a song called "You Can't Go Back." Okay, that's not a standard hook, but it's the hook for that song, because that's kind of what pulls the song together. If you look at the More album, every one of those songs has its own hook. So, but it's not. Maybe sometimes they're not the standard hook that you'd hear on the radio, where you hear the same line over and over and over and over and over again.
That is
That's
so
really
annoying.
not my way. If you don't have a good hook, and the only way that you can make it a good hook is by repeating it 9 times in the midst of a chorus, then maybe you should look for something different. Just saying. So.
You know what? That's completely honest in the industry, because I feel like nowadays when people are looking to write music, the inspirations, there's not that many. There's inspirations out there, but there's not that many amazing inspirations for people to look into. It also depends what type of music that they like. I am a huge country musician fan, and I like, regular oldies, pop, anything
Hmm.
on the radio as long as it's not profanity, like radio friendly, basically. And, I feel like that's another thing with musicians. Sometimes it's hard for them to not curse in a song. And they think that them putting the curse word in a song is going to make them millions and millions of dollars, when people like me is just going to turn it off because I don't want to hear that. Like
Yeah,
there's,
sometimes it's a marketing ploy, right? If you cuss, which I don't necessarily on
while you're on the
albums,
show,
but
you made the cut. I
yeah,
don't
there
take
you go. But if you do have curse words on your record, then you get one of those little stickers that says explicit lyrics, right? And there are people that shop for that. It's a marketing thing. So that's what it is, a business. So
No, I understand. I completely do. Well, I just wanted to say, because I know we were talking a little bit about yourself and your bio and everything in the beginning, how you started when you were 6. Shortly after that, can I ask, did you do any like theater or choirs or anything growing up music wise?
yeah, so when I was young, I was involved in a lot of church groups, and I was always the youngest guy in the group. Sometimes the folks in the groups were several years older than me, and we traveled all over the United States and played, these big old churches and youth camps and that kind
Yeah.
of thing. And I was always given an opportunity during those performances to play and sing with just my guitar, and that's kind of always been a thing for me. So we did the whole church thing and big tracks and the productions, right? But at
Mhm.
the end of the day, when it was my turn to just sit down with my guitar and play a song, that was really my favorite thing. So I did all that, and then of course you get into school, and you do different things in school. You're in choirs and these little special groups and madrigals and and all this other stuff. And so you did all that, more vocal stuff. But even then, the music director at my high school, at the great big high school, and he knew that I could play my guitar and sing a little bit. So even with the special groups, when we go out to perform for the chambers of commerce or the Rotary clubs or whoever, he would
Yep,
always
yep.
let me
From
he would
big
always let me
event.
bring my guitar. He'd always let me bring my guitar and sing something I wanted to sing, as long
Oh,
as it was within reason. So yeah.
that's that's so sweet. So he was like right by your side, just letting you, like, watching you grow with that.
Well, I think that it wasn't necessarily watching me grow. Uh, he liked me, kind of. He liked the fact that I could play and sing and play a different style of music than most of those groups were listening to, and were used to getting from a school group. So, yeah, he let me do that. It was kind of fun.
Awesome. Well, I love that. I just wanted to know, curious if you were any theater or choir groups, because I feel like also when you are a singer at a young age, we like to go and do different things, whether it's like choir or try to be in theater, just everything vocaling for yourself when you're getting older, but also getting the experience, right? Whether it's on your resume, whether you get an opportunity to sing in front of somebody, or practicing at a young age to be a musician to where you are now, so it's always things hidden that a lot of musicians don't mention and talk on their bio. And I feel like me being on my show, I like to pull up the past. Not the negative past, just, the young past.
Yeah. Don't air your dirty laundry, right? But the answer to your question is yes. So I did all of those things. I was in stage productions, and we performed Oklahoma and all these other things. And so I was on stage when I was a baby, and I was 7, 8, 10 years old. I was on stage in front of hundreds of people, and so the whole being in front of stage and being in front of people is something that is just I've just done my whole life. So it's not a thing for me. It's
And
fun.
you're used to it, exactly. Now, when
Yeah.
you were younger, when people asked you what you wanted to be when you grew up, what did you say? Did you say musician?
Not usually. So there was a time in my life when I wanted to be a football player,
Okay.
and then I realized I didn't have the correct DNA for that. So I spent quite a bit of time getting fixed from broken parts from trying to play football and other sports. And then I realized that I could go out and have a really good time and play my guitar and sing and enjoy all that and kind of get a similar buzz that you get from playing sports. And at the end of the night, you're not hurt. You don't have to go to the doctor and get parts put back together. So that's kind of when I did it. During high school, probably is when I decided that was more my thing.
And did you because wanting to be a musician or growing up where you are now, did you go to college for anything like that?
Sure, I won a scholarship for a vocal scholarship to go to school, and so I did that for a little bit. Can't say that I stayed long, but I did that for a little bit. But I studied guitar in college and all that. So
okay, so you probably learned a lot more depth of it, guitar-wise.
yeah, you learn all the technical stuff, right? And then once you graduate and you get done with that, it takes you a little while to forget all that technical stuff and just sit back and play. So that said, I still use it from time to time, particularly if I'm writing something that's really intricate. You need to get back into the theory and do the math, right? Do the math for the music, and sometimes I have to do that. So it's a good thing that I know it, but it's also a good thing that I got away from it. I was fortunate. I was talking to somebody about this the other day. I was fortunate that my favorite guitar teacher that I had when I was in school would make me learn, the technical stuff, the Bach and the Beethoven, and those things. He would make me learn that, and make me play it note for note, right? But then when I had that where he was happy with it, he would encourage me to play around with it. Don't play it like it's written. Play around with it. See what you can do with it. Well, I hate that term, but yeah, play around with it. Play around with it and see what you would do differently than this person did when they wrote the song. And so I give him a lot of credit for that, because I think a lot of times you could get locked into the technical world and forget that music's art and it's supposed to be feelings, and you can't have feelings coming off of a piece of paper, in my opinion. So
no, you're right about that. Feel it on a guitar, feel it on a singer.
Yep. Exactly.
Like you said, you were writing songs where you want a message to be spoken. You want us to feel something. You want to explain a story of a lover and somebody that passed away and they're grieving to this day, but it's a beautiful song. You want a message. And a lot of the music that does come out nowadays versus yourself, they don't always give messages anymore. I think, like we were saying a little bit before with the hook, they're more repetitive, where they're just stuck in our heads, where I don't even know what I'm singing. I'll be singing a commercial, like a jingle on a commercial.
Yeah, exactly. And don't get me wrong. I don't say that that's a bad thing. I mean, that's people are making money and having careers and doing all that, right? And I don't say that's a bad thing. It's a different thing. It's a way different thing from what I like to do. So,
but it's if you want to write a song as a musician, having a story or the three parts to the story, where it's the beginning, the middle, and end. None of that happens in a lot of the songs, nowadays too. We all write them differently. And sometimes you can write half the story. But I feel like there's not that much storytelling moving forward with a lot of musicians. Bring it back. People need to bring it back.
I am doing all I can. I'm doing everything I can. So bring it back.
Not holding you accountable, Bill. I understand that completely. I know that.
There
for
you
sure.
go. There
Definitely.
you go.
So I'm curious, for that amazing, beautiful wall behind you of your guitars, if you would explain to me what's going on behind you.
Well, I'm an acoustic guitar guy, though I have electric guitars and I use them. But for the most part, I'm an acoustic guitar guy. So probably the best analogy is that if you go see a guy that's an electric player, okay, they have a pedal board underneath their feet, right? And they're going to push, different pedals that engage different sounds and different effects and different, and they do that all with these pedals, right? I don't use pedals at all. If I want a different song, I just go find a new guitar. So that's kind of It's kind of my thing. So every one of my guitars has a different feel and a different sound, and they deliver to me at least a different feel. So that's why I have them all.
Well, I wanted to know if they were all like you use them, I'm sure, throughout your career, but they all mean something to you, right? Did you name all of them?
Of course I did.
They're behind you for certain reasons. So.
What?
I said they're behind you for a certain reason, so I was just curious.
Yeah, I don't know. Each one of them has a name, and those names come from some different places. So let's see. I have two guitars that are kind of unique. They're handmaids, and they're 9-string guitars. So, typically a guitar is 6-string or 12 strings. These are 9-string guitars. And the one that I play the most, that I've had the longest of those, I just call him the mutant because he's different, different than all the other guitars. I have another guitar that I'll test your Lord of the Rings knowledge here. I have another guitar that's called Galadriel. So do you know who that is?
I do not. Is that from Lord of the Rings as well?
That's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, Galadriel. So she's a female guitar because they have genders. But anyway, she's all blonde. She's absolutely beautiful. She loves to be played in very pretty situations and with very pretty songs. But if you piss her off, she could get a little angry with you. So much like Galadriel in the movies. Pardon me?
Is she the folk guitar for the pretty, beautiful music?
She's kind of, it depends on the song again. But yeah, she's kind of a love song guitar, right? She's really good at that, finger picking and, all the fancy stuff that goes along with that. She's good at that. Then I have my 1974 Guild F512 guitar, which is the same one, same make, model, and year that like John Denver played one, Dan Fogelberg played one, Steven Stills played one. They're just the year, make, and model of a 12-string that everybody wants, right? And I call him the dude. So I'm again going to test your movie knowledge. So who is the dude?
The dude. Okay. Can I get
ask your dad? You could call a friend. Yeah.
What is the dude? Call a friend. The dude.
I'm trying to remember.
Can I get like bubble letters or not bubble letters? Like three clues, or like three. I'd like choose one from.
I'm not following.
There, I'll give you clues to the movie. How's that?
Yes.
Okay. This rug really makes the room.
This rug really makes the room. I feel like I'm playing trivia. How old is this movie?
Pretty old. Let's see. Second clue: Jeff Bridges.
Dad, you have to help me with this. I don't know what this means.
I haven't seen many Jeff Bridges movies.
This rug really makes the room. The dude.
Yeah, the dude.
One more clue.
So it's
one more clue.
Well, you're not going to get it. So I'm going to just tell you. So it's from the movie The Big Lebowski.
Oh,
okay. Somebody
about
just
about
said
the bowler. About the bowler.
Exactly.
Maybe our good friend said the big league.
Yeah,
Lebowski.
Yeah, but the reason that I named that particular guitar the dude is because the famous line from that movie, Jeff Bridges says, "The dude abides." Well, that guitar, when I pick him up and play him, you know it. Yep. The dude abides. So that's why I named him the dude.
So
I have a new one. I have a newest one that is a Martin that I just call Strider. So if again, that's a Lord of the Rings reference.
Okay. Chris would know all of this. I've never seen Lord.
How about any Marvel guitars, Bill?
Any what?
Marvel guitars?
Marvel?
Like the TV show.
Spider-Man.
TV
no. There's not enough. I love those movies. They're great entertainment, right? Yeah, but there's not enough depth in those movies to really name something after, in my opinion. So, but Strider is my newest guitar, and he He ended up being that was his working name in the movie, but he ended up being Aragorn, which turns into the king. So yeah, so each one of them has a story. I could go on all night long, but yeah, that's kind of the idea.
I love that though. I love how honest you are about your guitars. Now, Vinny, that's tuning in. I just wanted to say he's one of our good friends from Jersey Calling, which is also a band we just previously had on our show last year. I'm sorry, last week.
Last week.
Not last year.
Last year.
Last week. They are like a pop punk band. So I just wanted to say, he said, don't ever say that the Big
Lebowski is ever old again. Old ever again.
Old ever again, Bill. And he laughed.
You know, there are movies that should never go away. And I actually had a friend of mine who's roughly my age. So I'm 66, right? So I've been around a bit. But they had never seen The Big Lebowski. And I told them, they said, well, we should sit down and watch it together. And I said, oh, no, you have to watch this on your own. And then if you want to watch it with me, then we can discuss it. So, you know, it's
I gotta say, I still never saw it, Bill.
I'd never even heard of it.
I heard of it, but I was busy doing other things in life. I don't sit and watch movies all the time, so I didn't know. I heard about it, but I never saw it. So.
Well, let's see. What you got to do is now you have you've got a teaser, right? You can watch the movie and you can figure out where the line, the room, or the rug really makes ties in the room. The rug really makes the room. Now, and you'll have to figure out what that means.
I mean, when you said that, I was thinking of Aladdin, but that's the only thing I can think of that was like a rug. So I guess we're gonna look into watching that movie sometime. I don't even know.
There
what
you
it's
go.
called, so.
Who's in that movie besides Jeff Bridges?
Oh, there's a bunch of people, and I am absolutely horrible with names, and so I'm not even going to try. I'm terrible with names. It's a '70s thing. You know, there's a song on my new record that's called "The '70s Were a Little Hard on Me," and that's one of the things that evidently left me in the '70s was my ability to remember people's names. But yeah, there's a bunch of guys in it. So John Goodman's in it. I mean, there's a bunch of folks. It's a great movie.
Also, Woody Harrelson, I think, from Cheers is in that.
I don't know if Woody's in it or not. I don't remember him being in it. But anyway, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to know if you could tell me a little bit about your album that came out in 2017, Find a Way. I wanted to talk a little bit about your album.
Yeah, Find a Way.
Completely switching terms now off your guitar.
Yeah. Now off we go. Well, Find a Way is an album that was really inspired. The title cut of the album was inspired by the day that my dad passed away, actually. And oh, thank you. It's been since 1989, so it's been a bit. But I was at work, and he was in the hospital. He was not doing well, and we all kind of knew, you know, that it was inevitable. And my sister called me and said, "You need to come to the hospital and come now because you know it's inevitable." So I finished up what I was doing, about 10 minutes worth of work, and I took off and went to the hospital. And I missed seeing my dad that day by about 5 minutes because, you know, I had to finish up what I was doing at work. So let's just say that I prioritized my time pretty poorly that day. But the concept behind Find a Way is something that he taught me. It's a saying that he said to me many, many, many times in life. And he said that if you want something bad enough in life and you're willing to put in the blood, the sweat, the tears, and the toil, you can always find a way to make it happen. And since Find a Way was my first really full produced album, I had produced an acoustic album prior to that, but that was kind of my way to find a way. And interestingly enough, at the end of that song, the title cut, my dad had a favorite song that he liked to hear me play on the guitar. It was called The Wildwood Flower. You know, it's an old classic thing and classic country bluegrassy thing almost. And he loved it. He loved it when I would play that for him. And so for the outtake of the Find a Way song, I played a pure acoustic version of The Wildwood Flower on my 12 string. As kind of my way to find a way to tell my dad that I loved him one more time. So
that's beautiful. That's
Thank you.
I'm guessing with that album, being the way that it is as well, it's dedicated to your father as well, correct? 2017.
Yeah. The site's dedicated to my dad, but it's really the focus of the album itself. Outside of that song, is really about finding balance. At that time, I was still working. I did this whole 43 and a half year long corporate gig, and it was really hard to balance what I did in my corporate world and what I do in the music world, and to make time, to carve out time for each one of those and make sure that they didn't cross paths. Yeah, make sure they didn't cross paths and you lose prioritization and all that. And so it was a little bit about finding a balance. The whole album's about finding a balance, but that balance is what I lost the day that my dad passed away. I worked when I should have not. So I lost balance. And so that's what that album's all about.
Now, what was your corporate job? What were you doing as well as?
I worked for a large international company, and I worked in the supply chain field, but I was really more of a program manager. So what we would do is I had a team of expert people that worked with me, and we would different production sites and administrative sites and warehousing and distribution sites would call, and they would have a problem with something, and we would go and figure out what the problem was, then figure out a solution, and then implement the solution. So we did a whole lot of business process validation and investigation and remodeling, and then we would always find a way to integrate the new solutions into the technical systems that the company used. So yeah, that's what I did.
Technical and everything. So I'm guessing not even that day, but sometimes the job could be very complicated or just takes up so much time that you had no time in between for anything else. Right?
Yeah, I had projects that lasted 6 years. Yeah, they were pretty complex, a lot of them. Yeah.
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 I was going to say, you're also a father, correct, though?
I am. I have 2 kids and 3 grandkids. So.
Oh, I love that. I think that's amazing. That's so sweet. Real quick, we had Vinny that also came from Jersey calling. He said, beautiful sentiment, Bill. I just want to say that he was just, that was very sweet what you said about your dad.
That's a true story.
And he's looking over you today about this interview. He's so proud of you.
Yeah. Would you like to hear a really cool story about that?
I would love to.
Excuse me. I was on tour. I was playing in Estes Park, and kind of a listening room environment, 200-300 people. And I always, even to this day, the last song that I play in any of my concerts is this song called Find a Way. And there was a guy there sitting stage right. I could see him just like it was yesterday. And he was one of these guys that he was locked and loaded through the whole concert. I mean, his full eye contact. There was nobody with him. He sat by himself, and he was just really, really interested in what I was playing and the songs and what they were saying and all that. And I thought, how cool. And then after the show, I got kind of tied up with a bunch of people, and I was going to go over and talk to him. I didn't get a chance to. And 3 days later, I played in, I don't remember the name of the town, but someplace in southern Colorado. And as I came out, there he was, same guy, 4 hours away, right? Same guy, same situation, locked and loaded through the whole concert, and just really made a very focused on what I was doing. And so I made a point. As soon as the show was over, I set my guitars down. I went over to talk to him. And I said, hey, listen, man, I appreciate you coming to 2 shows, but this is like 4 hours away from the other show. And he said, yeah, I needed to hear that song one more time because I like it acoustic much better than I like it on the record. And I thought, which song was that? And he said, your Find a Way song. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, that, you're kind of honored when somebody says that, And I said, well, I appreciate you really like the song. And he said, well, what I really like about it is my dad passed away 3 weeks ago. And your song really speaks to me and is helping me through this situation. And
I feel oh my God.
Yeah, true story. So that's when I knew that that tour was now an official success. I'd actually made contact, interpersonal contact with someone, and they had really appreciated my music. But yeah.
And whether they were probably just somebody that didn't know who you were, right? First, and they.
Well, I was getting a lot of radio airplay in those areas. That's why I toured out there. And so, and the Find a Way song did pretty well. It hit a bunch of charts in the top 10 and, and all that. And so I think people had heard it, but they had heard the produced version, There's quite a bit of, rock and roll and all that involved in it in the produced version. But when it's just me and a guitar, which is the way that I like to tour, it's kind of got a different feel. It's more like how I wrote it, So I think it's a little more touchy feely when I just play it acoustic.
Do you have it acoustically recorded as well?
Yeah.
Like for radio stations to play?
No, I didn't do that on that record. I did that on the More record. On the latest record, I have 2 songs on that record that not only did we record the full produced orchestrated stuff, but we also just recorded it with me and a guitar, and they're pretty popular. People seem to like them, so something that I would probably do more of. Yeah.
Okay. Because leading forward into that as well, I would probably say, even after the show, I'll have Chris contact Michael, and then we can also get both songs or whatever you have acoustically that you want to play here on Hamilton Radio. Mm-hmm. We can play that as well. Whether it's not acoustic or just your regular album, that's completely fine too. But whatever you want to give us to play, that's your opportunity, your option. We can give you airplay too, because we're all over the world.
Oh, so okay, cool.
Australia and everywhere else with that option. So
I have a lot of fans in Australia. Actually, I get quite a bit of airplay in Australia now. So.
Good, that's awesome. So we can give you more.
Cool.
We're all over the world, so we would love to. Take your music and bring it up higher to the highest fields we can. So
very cool. Appreciate that.
Of course. So after the interview, we'll get all that information, or we can contact you and then contact Michael and go from there.
Okay.
But I just wanted to do that option because, you were talking about how you had that song and the song from your one you wrote for your, as well as like Goodbye to Your Dad. And a lot of that would also be, it's probably very emotional. Sure, you get emotional when you play it on stage. Now, do you ever feel like he's there with you? Can you feel him?
Of course.
That's what I wanted to do. A lot of people would be creeped out if I said that, but I wanted to make sure.
Well, I think that when you're a songwriter, right? When you write a song, there's a reason that you wrote it, right? And they typically have, some deep meaning, or you've been through something, and whatever. And the key to me, when you perform those live, is to go back to that space, go back to that place that you were when you wrote that song, when you had that idea, when you were working through it, and kind of revisit, all those thoughts and those emotions and stuff that were going on when you wrote it. And that's really how, Bill's opinion, you can deliver the song the best, in my opinion.
Well, I love that. I think that's beautiful. And, how we had mentioned your album that came out in 2017. I wanted to also talk a little bit more about your previous release of your album that you were talking about when we were off air as well. So what is the name of this album that you had released?
The newest one is called More, More. It's just called More. And it came out in September of 23.
Okay, so
and it's so it's pretty fresh. It's had now, this is the third single. The third single now off that record has been released, and so it's done really well. The first single is a song called Hideaway that hit number one on the iTunes charts in the UK, and did really well here in the United States. The second one is a really touching song. That's named Called Their Name, and it's really a song that talks about the travesty in the United States that we have regarding homeless people. It's ludicrous to me that we have homeless people out in our world when we're supposed to be, the USA and all that, and it's a sad thing, but it's done very well. It's number one right now, actually, on the Independent Music Network and the National Radio Hits Adult Contemporary chart, which is another one of those genres that nobody knows what it is, but whatever. Make it your own. That's what it is. Yeah. I'll take a number one wherever I could get it, right? I've had a few, right? So it's always good to get more, right?
That's awesome. That's really good. Yeah, so then talking a little bit about this album, how many tracks was on More?
There's 9. 2 of them are pure acoustic redos, right?
Okay, so, this is the one you were talking about, yeah.
Yeah, so there's 2 songs. The Call Their Name song has a beautiful guitar part that I play on Miss Galadriel that is just, it's really pretty, right? And the song's very touching. And so we decided that the hit, the one that's out on the radio is all produced up in strings and, all this stuff, which is really pretty. And it's really cool. But we decided we wanted to do that one just acoustic, just me and a guitar. So we did that, and it's really cool. And then the title cut for the album is More. It's you hear about singer-songwriter songs, right? Where you just kind of split open your chest and pull out your heart and hang it out here and let people shoot nails at it and tear it apart and all that. That's kind of what the More song is all about. It's a challenge. If there can be more, if there can be more than a friend or more than a lover, right? In a relationship. And so we did the very similar thing. It's the single for More that's on the radio now is pretty produced. It's got everything on it. And we had a lot of fun doing it. It's really pretty. But we decided at the end of the day, I just want a version of that with me and my guitar. And so we did that too.
You know what? Honestly, an acoustic is, I don't want to say better, but I feel like an acoustic is so fresh that it's you and your vocals. Your vocals and the music that you want to play, obviously the guitar, so acoustic. And it just gets to show you a little bit about your voice, like what you can do with it, how you wanted to make it sound. And I mean, I also, don't get me wrong, we all love, music that's recorded or different tracks and stuff you have behind it and all the different musical instruments. But as we were saying before, acoustic is so fresh that you don't hear it a lot nowadays. And I don't feel like a lot of musicians do it that much, honestly.
Yeah, I think they should do more, but I think that it makes it more personal. That's what I think, is when you hear a song like those 2 songs in particular are very, heart-wrenching, thoughtful, kind of deep songs, right? And when you hear them with just, a good acoustic guitar and some vocals, I think it's just more personal. It's more touching. So this from the guy that's got not 13 old acoustic guitars. I like them. So yeah, I'm going to use them, right?
Oh my God, of course you are. I wanted to say a little bit about your album More, where people can find it. Are you all over, like we had mentioned you were on iTunes. Are you on like Spotify? Are you on all over?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm like a bad rash. I'm all over and I won't go away. So you can find, if you can't find my music, you're not looking. That's all I can tell you. It's everywhere. And, you can find it on, whatever streaming platform you use, whatever iTunes, Pandora, whoever, Amazon, whoever you buy stuff from, it's there. It's there. Yes, I'm on Sirius Radio sometimes. It's pretty picky to get on Sirius Radio, but yeah, I've heard my stuff on Sirius Radio a time or two.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thanks.
When you get the highest achievements where you get to be on more of FM radio stations, I mean, as a musician, because that's like that's what your goal is, right? You want to be on all the radio stations and get number 1 on everything. When you were first heard on a radio station, let's say you heard yourself, what was going through your mind? What were you excited? Were you confused? What was going on?
So the story goes, I had made this record. It was the first one. And I had this one song that was called Willow Creek, which talks about when I was a kid, where I was born, where I was raised, where I learned to play music, where I learned all the stuff that we talked a bit about earlier, right? And that's what that song's about. And I was driving out in the middle of Utah one day, working, when I was doing my real
say
job.
randomly in Utah, but then you said working. I understand.
Well, yeah, when I worked, I traveled all over the world, right? So, and I was thinking about work. I wasn't even thinking about music, and I just had some radio station on, just random radio station, just listening to some stuff. And I heard something, and I thought, hey, that sounds pretty cool. And I reached over and turned it up, and it was me. So that was the first time that I ever heard myself on terrestrial radio, right?
Did you pull over? Did you sing with yourself?
No, I actually sat there and listened to it and said, damn, I should have done that better, but that's what you do when you're a musician.
Okay, you criticize yourself. Okay.
Of course, always be your worst critic, right?
You can, but I think you can also be proud of yourself too.
Well, yeah, it's a cool thing. I mean, it's a moment, right? It's like, you have some of those, when you're a musician, the first time I saw it, the first number one song, I had a song off the Find a Way album. That was number one folk song in the United States for about 7 weeks, on the Roots music charts. And that's a thing, that's a deal. That's a big deal. I remember when I was on tour right before COVID, seeing yourself on a billboard. That's a thing. That's a moment, right? That's one of those things that you kind of remember. Yeah. And so, there's those moments, but I don't know that any of them are any cooler than the first time you hear yourself on the radio. That's pretty sweet.
But being on a billboard is also extremely awesome. What were you on a billboard for?
Advertising my tour. So.
Your music?
Yeah, my tour and my music and all that stuff, right? So that
getting
tour
a chance to see yourself on a billboard, was that like bringing you to tears?
Well, I wouldn't say tears, but it was cool.
Not emotional?
Well, sure. You're kind of like, oh, wow, that's cool. But that tour was promoting the Crossing Willow Creek album that had like 6 different songs on it that charted all over the world and did great, and so. That's why we were touring to support that record. But I pulled into a couple of places, actually, some of the places. So when I pulled into Colorado, there was a billboard. When I pulled into New Mexico, there was another billboard that I happened to see. I think there were more, but happened to see those. And it's a thing, that's a cool thing.
Accomplishment.
It's a cool
that's definitely an accomplishment. And I feel like as a musician, when you get a chance to see that, you made it.
Well, I don't know that you made it, but it's cool. It's a cool thing. So it was fun. I took a picture. I have pictures.
Possible. Exactly. You have pictures in front of it, or your pictures just you witnessing it?
It's a picture of me in front of the billboard. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's an accomplishment. That's a praise. That's something.
Yeah, it's a cool thing. It's fun.
So yeah, it's definitely something that's off the whim, exciting, and maybe something that happens, I want to say, in that time because of the tour promotions and everything like that. But we can make it bigger and better. Think of yourself being on number one on everything.
How do I say this in a nice way? It's really expensive to be number one on a lot of things, right?
I understand. So, not messing up with this world situation right now. It's probably worse. But back in the day, it was cheaper. I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And that's all back in the day. You could actually make money, playing music, which, nobody could do anymore. So
that's so sad. That's
sad. You have to tour. You just have to incessantly tour if you want to make money. And I'm 66 and I don't want to. So there's that.
Well, okay. So off air, we were talking, because I know we weren't doing this on air. Off air, we were talking about when you perform at venues, to certain venues that you prefer versus like a bar or anything. Can we bring that up again? Because I do want the audience members to understand just how amazing what your preference is actually what I miss. I feel like every time I go out, I am going to a bar to listen to music.
Mhm.
And you know, the worst thing is, whether they have the TVs, they always have music playing when the musicians are playing. It's so stupid.
Yeah, I'm old, man. So I remember when you went to a concert to go to a concert, right?
Yeah.
And even if you went to a coffee house, right, it was still a concert type uh,
Yeah.
environment, right, where people would just sit down and shut up and listen to the guy, that was playing, or the folks that were playing. But yeah, I don't play in bars. I'm not going to go play in bars. I won't play in any place that has televisions. Uh, Pinball machines, video games. No, I'm not doing that. And I'm fortunate that I don't have to. People that are doing the music gig full time and try to make a living and all that. That's their choices a lot of times.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily have to do that. So
or if they have an agent or a manager, they would book them there because they would make money off.
Well, yeah, it's all about making money, right? But I don't like playing those places, and I don't really play live often, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But when I do, it's in an environment that is more of a concert environment, because that's the way that I
Very
came
true.
up. And when you play, when I was on tour, I would play small, what I would call listing room type venues, where they would have, I don't know, anywhere from 1 to 300-400 people, right? But
Yeah.
they came to
Mhm.
hear me, right? They didn't come to have a pizza and a beer, and maybe there's some guy playing background music in the corner. I mean, that's not me. I'm not going to do that, and
You
I
know
don't
what?
want to do that, right?
That's another thing. I feel like a lot of restaurants, to bring money in, and people obviously want to listen to music while they're eating, whether it's, like you were saying, a pizza place, something Italian, or different types of music. I mean, when I go to a burger place and it's a weekend versus being a bar and everything in the back room, there is musicians. There's always a
Mhm.
dependent artist. And I like that because it's a different type of feel for me. Whereas I'm just out with my family enjoying, and hey, they're playing a song that I know, which is a bonus because I want to sing along and I like their music and la da 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 da. So yes, it's probably a huge marketing tool also that you just brought to my attention, because I didn't even think of that. But oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
and don't get me wrong, it's not a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
And a
Yeah.
lot of people love to do it, and like you said, you enjoy it when you go to a venue and there's somebody playing some song that and there's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with it. And they're certainly not going to say anything bad about people that do it, because that's what they do.
Of course.
It's just not
They're
for me.
living.
It's not for me. I don't like doing it, and like I said, I'm fortunate that I don't have to, so I don't.
When you were a musician, like starting off when you were younger, did you ever do any open mics, or did you not go to them?
No,
No, serious. I'm just
yeah,
asking.
no. I have a friend here in
Okay.
Kansas City who hosts an open mic, right? And
Okay.
a really nice gal, and just sweet as she could be. And every now and then she'll call me and say, "Bill, will you come and play at our open mic?" And I'll go,
Oh,
and then play a couple of songs, But again, it's the atmosphere, right? To me, it's the atmosphere. I really like to listen to music when I'm listening to music, right? Like, for example,
yeah.
I was at a concert not too long ago with some friends, right? And
Okay.
it was somebody, it's like the Eagles or somebody, right? And they said, "I couldn't believe you stood the whole concert with your eyes closed." And I said, "Yeah." And they said, "Well, did you want to see the show?" And I said, "I didn't come for the show. I came for the music. I want to hear the music." Right?
Okay. I've never heard anyone closing their eyes though at a concert.
Yeah, I do it all the time. I've done it since I was a kid. I mean,
Okay.
there's a lot of, and again, don't take this the wrong way. There's a lot of people that enjoy the show. If you look at
Of course.
some of the big artists today, the Taylor, Usher, these folks, it's a show. It's a
Yeah.
production, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because we do so much where there's lights and there's
yeah.
coming out. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd rather just close my eyes and not see all that crap and listen to the music. That's my thing. And so
Okay.
that's what's important to me. Not to say that there's anything wrong with all the other stuff,
Of
right?
course.
It's
It's your
just not
opinion.
it's just not who I am. I would much rather just, to be honest with you, I mean, the older I get, the less that I go out, right? So I'll sit here with a really nice stereo and a really nice glass of wine or a beer, and I'll listen to an entire album uh,
Okay.
without interruption, because I really like to listen to the music. The show is great and people enjoy it, and more power to them, but not who I am.
I've never heard that in any of my times for interviewing anyone. And you know what? It's your opinion. Completely
Yeah.
fine. It's 100% you. I've just never. I'm shocked. I think you stumped me on my own show. But you know what? That might be a different mentality to look at it, where you just close your eyes and actually focus on the music. I feel like when we do go to concerts and many different types of shows and events, we're always interested in things that are going on, whether I told you it's the lights or the merchandise or different
Mhm.
things going on or openers and everything like that.
Mhm.
I don't think there's ever once in my life where I'm just standing or sitting and I close my eyes. I probably look like I'll be sound asleep at the concert
Could be. Yeah, could be.
or I fell asleep, but it's like a very strong mental point where honestly, I think a lot of people should look into that.
Well, it depends on, I guess, the artist, right? So it depends on
Yeah,
what kind of
I
music
mean,
you like and the artist and all
yeah,
that. When you've got, I'll use this as a great example, right? And there are others, but I'll just use this one as a great one. So one of my favorite artists of all time is Dan Fogelberg.
okay.
And Dan Fogelberg, is known for the hits, Longer and Leader of the Band and, The Run with the
Yeah.
Roses, these hits, right? But here's what's fascinating about Dan Fogelberg. And I saw him in concert probably 10 times in my life, twice with a band, 2 times.
Okay.
The rest of the time, it was him and a piano and a guitar.
So acoustic.
That was a 3-hour concert, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sold out Madison Square Garden 2 nights in a row with him, a guitar, and a piano. That is the kind of concert that I like to go to.
Okay.
To me, it just is. It's more personal. It's more engaging, and it's far more interesting to me. So there you go.
That's beautiful. Like I said, I never heard of it from that way. And I'm sure it's a strong mental point where you can learn from it a lot more and actually understand the music as opposed to all of us screaming at the top of our lungs and getting a migraine after the show. But it also depends who you're seeing. But
yeah, exactly. It depends on the artist. I mean, if you're going to go see, I don't know, I hate to use
Taylor
names,
Swift.
but if you're going to go see Taylor Swift, right, you expect to see the show. You expect her to come out there half naked, right, sing a bunch of songs that sound a whole lot alike, right? But
Yeah.
she's got a huge bunch of dancers. She's got a great band, fantastic sound, and a big production.
Correct.
And that's what that audience
That's what it's
likes. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. More power to you. I'm going to sit at home and listen to an acoustic Jackson Browne album and be just tickled to death. All right, so it just depends on what your tastes are.
Definitely. Bill, you're incredible. I really enjoyed love talking to you, getting to know you. Honestly, you've been through so much where it seems like it's always a learning curve for yourself and your career. And that's also very strong in a very positive way for you that you have a lot going on for you. And, you're a dad and you have a lot of time and you're working with a lot of stuff. I know we talked a little bit as well in the beginning of the show where you previously have like new music that you're working on or an album. So it seems like you always have something coming on or happening, which is great because it's super interactive and fun for you. And
yeah, I don't do bored well.
Same here
really
as a radio show host. I can't get bored. It's really hard for me to try to get bored, for anything like that. But I just have to say I appreciate your time,
Well,
being
thank you
here
very
with me
much.
today. And it was really nice talking to you. I wish you so much luck and love in the industry. I really can't wait to hear more of the music that you're releasing into the new year, whether it's this spring or summer or fall. And like I said, thank you again. If you just want to give out your social media, where people can find you and your music, or if you have a website, you're more than welcome to, so we can get ready to end the shop.
Yeah, I'll just tell you that. So I'm everywhere, right? So I'm not going to give you a bunch of Twitter handles or X handles, I suppose, a Facebook page. Go to BillAbernathy.com, BillAbernathy.com. And on my website is a bunch of stuff that you can read out about me, but it's also all the links into all the social media junk. And I post on there kind of, 2 or 3 times a week. I'm not one of those guys that is going to post
Whenever
every
you have time.
day, but
We understand.
when something happens and something is of interest, I'll post it, right? But I'm not going to blow up your Facebook page. I'm not going to blow your Instagram or your Twitter, or your email. I'm just not that guy. So when something cool happens, like today is today Tuesday?
Yes.
So today, sometime this evening, I will get radio reports for the week. That will be interesting, see where I'm charting, how many stations. I think last week it was 650 stations or something were playing my music. So that's pretty cool, right? So
wow.
that's
cool.
interesting. That's interesting. And I'll share that, with folks. But I'm not going to tell you, hey, look, I got a new pair of jeans. This is not who I am at all, right? It's going to have to be something a little bit more interesting. Like if I got a new guitar, I'd probably put that out there.
And then what's her name? Because I'm sure she's going to be somebody from Lord of the Rings.
The new guitar, I don't know. Each guitar has its own personality, so you don't really know until you played them, right? And then they tell you who they are.
So. I love that. Like I said, you're incredible. You're such a wonderful musician. I loved having you today. You're so open and honest, and you made me laugh so much about the industry. And honestly, can everyone be like you? How honest you are? It's insane.
Well, all I could say is this, and I'm not going to dog on Taylor Swift because she's kind of popular in Kansas City because she's dating this guy that plays on the Chiefs, right? So, but a couple of weeks ago on one of the Nashville charts, I was actually number 2 on the chart, and she was number 3. And I thought to myself, hey, look, I'm number 2, and I'm ahead of Taylor Swift, and I didn't have to take my clothes off on stage or anything. So it must be a good thing. That's a joke.
I love it. I seriously, oh my God, are you half comedian? It's perfect. I love the comical part of you. It's awesome getting to know you. It really is. I have to appreciate you being here again. I really do love talking to you. When you have a new release of an album, you're more than welcome to contact us again. We'll introduce you back on the show. We'll promote your album where people can purchase it and buy it and go from there. Perfect. And I wish you the best of your Tuesday. I hope you have a great one. And thank you again for being here tonight.
Yeah, I'll have a great night. Thank you very much for asking interesting questions and having a good interview. So that's a little bit rare in today's world. So thank you very much.
And brought up by my dad. So thank you.
And tell your dad he's doing a good job. So for the rest of you, live long and prosper.
Have a good night, everyone. Make sure you guys tune in every Tuesday from 6:30 to 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. Good night, everyone. All right, so we're gonna end streaming. Let's go. All right.